the Big Ten home opener for Mike Riley and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They get set to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Kickoff from Lincoln is next. Wisconsin and Nebraska, they hope that this becomes a cemented rivalry in the Big Ten. They battle for the second time for the Freedom Trophy. We welcome those of you watching on ESPN2 across the country as well. And we welcome the third member of our team, Olivia Harlan, on the field.
Well, Adam, it's that halfway point through the season, and coaches around the country are dealing with more injuries and attrition. Just a laundry list for these two teams today. For Wisconsin, most notably, they get their top receiver, Alex Erickson, back. He's missed last week with a concussion. He was cleared Thursday for just one practice before the trip. Now across the line of scrimmage to Nebraska's defense, guys, 19 different starters in their 5 games. Wow is right. Silver lining, they get tackle Vince Valentine back today. He missed the last 3 weeks with a high ankle sprain. And Adam, I saw him warming up with a significant tape job on that left ankle. But also big-time playmaker DeMornay Pearsonell, a right foot injury, kept him out until just last week. But now they really increase his role today. Husker fans will remember him best for his 3 punt return touchdowns last year. Today, Adam, look for him used in screens and jet sweeps.
Olivia talked about it. Nebraska, especially on the defensive side, has been decimated with injury. You see the games missed by some significant players. Banderas and Rose-Ivy, very good linebackers. Sutton is out at tight end, and they're missing both Kevin Williams and Kevin Maurice at defensive tackle. Daniel Davey is out at cornerback. Valentine's hoping to be healthy. Gangwish dealt with an elbow. Pearsonell is back. Both teams have dealt with a lot of injury, including Nebraska and Mike Riley's first season after 14 years as the head coach at Oregon State. Bo Pelini started his first 6-game stretch at 3-3 as well. The Husker fans hope that Nebraska will be 3-3 by the end of the day. And the job that he was meant to have, the former Wisconsin quarterback Paul Chryst, after a couple of stints as an assistant, back at Wisconsin now as the head coach. Riley and Chryst, very good friends. They know each other very, very well. Chryst actually really got Riley's attention as a coach, and Riley pretty much started Paul Chryst's full-time coaching career back in the 90s. There is a heavy gusting breeze today, mostly blowing from our right to our left. That's from south to north, almost 20-mile-an-hour winds. That could play a major factor here in Lincoln today.
Yeah, remember, it was just last week in Illinois that this Nebraska offense couldn't get out of their own way, and it was a stiff breeze as well last Saturday.
Wisconsin won the toss and deferred. Andrew Endicott is back after missing a game due to an unspecified injury. He needs the help of a holder to kick this one away, and off we go from Lincoln, Nebraska. And it is Jordan Stevenson, the former Wisconsin Badger, with his red shirt removed, taking a knee and out to the 25-yard line. Comes Tommy Armstrong and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Rough game against Illinois, but still the Big Ten passing leader in yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, and what Mike Riley told us about him is he's a great freelancer. He maybe throws the best ball on the move that Riley's ever coached.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, this is an offense about progression, about going through your reads on time and in rhythm, and we'll see if he can do that today.
They'll start with Andy Janovich, junior out of Nebraska, former walk-on in the backfield. And there is DeMornay Pearsonell, exactly what Olivia told us about, trying to get him going on jet sweeps. And immediately Vince Beagle, one of the 2 veteran outside linebackers, is there for a loss of 4.
And Pearsonell is that fly sweep guy. He's really the big time playmaker that this offense has lacked, and Riley's offense is all about pre-snap minutia. There's a lot of moving parts, but they run the ball to the perimeter, and Pearsonell is at the epicenter of that.
Terrell Newby checks into the backfield for the Huskers. More motion, but it's Armstrong with a lead blocker trying to bust into the open field, and he gets wrapped up by Derek Tyndall and brought down to set up 3rd and 4. Take a look at our impact players when the Huskers are on offense.
Well, we talked about Pearsonell, and he's the big play guy that this offense needs. And then it's the 2 new linebackers inside, Chris Orr and TJ Edwards. They're a freshman and a redshirt freshman, and it's about IDing the core because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of window dressing before the ball is snapped.
Trying to take advantage of some young eyes in the middle of that Wisconsin defense on 3rd down and 4 against one of the best defenses in college football the last 3 years. Armstrong rifles one towards the sticks. It's caught short by Stephen Carter, the tight end, and he immediately gets brought down by the outstanding safety Michael Caputo, a yard shy of the line to gain.
Yeah, it's just a little unaware of what you need to move the chains right there, and Carter cut that route off a little bit short. There isn't any run after the catch, and this isn't a decision right here. Riley obviously has to punt this ball off early in this one.
Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week is Sam Foltz, averaged 47 a punt last week, and it will be Sojourn Shelton, who had 3 punt return touchdowns in high school in Florida at Plantation, back to return. Good get-off time, about a second and a half, and Shelton waves this one out. It takes a friendly Wisconsin bounce. It's touched by a Cornhusker, and it ends up being down near the 45-yard line. So excellent field position on what ends up being just a 33-yard punt for Foltz. Joel Stave, a very, very active quarterback. First career start came 3 years ago here in Lincoln. 3rd in school history in passing yards. He's picked up 24 wins. That's 4th among active quarterbacks, and 44 touchdown passes, but 4 turnovers last week. 2 in the air, 2 on the ground.
And with the run game suffering a little bit, Stave has to be that expert at that position. No critical mistakes out of him today like we saw last week.
On first down, it's Tywan Deal with a lead block from Derek Watt. And Deal with a good first down run to the 49-yard line, a gain of 5. Chris Webber is there on the stop, one of the important guys on this defense.
And Olivia told us about Erickson coming back, and he's really the most stable guy outside. And then it's a walk-on linebacker in the middle. Chris Webber, he's done a great job. 29 tackles the last 2 weeks. You can't get much better than that. But it's about getting the call, echoing the call, and then setting the front for that guy in the middle.
Josh Banderas, one of several injured Huskers on that Nebraska defense, out for the 4th time in the last 5 games. On second down, it's Deal into a pile of red jerseys, and he will get stopped for no gain on the play. Right in the thick of things is Greg McMullen in that great front for Nebraska, along with Dedrick Young, the freshman outside linebacker.
And Adam, what we're going to see out of Wisconsin today is what they call the Wisconsin way, which is a power run, a zone run. They'll stretch it sometimes outside, but it's about relocating 300-pounders to the point of attack like they did on that play.
Just 2 down linemen for Wisconsin, showing pressure. Or for Nebraska, rather. They bring heat. Stave with a protected pocket. Now takes off. And he's got the first down and more, and he slides down in Nebraska territory at the 40-yard line.
A great decision early by Joel Stave. It was man-to-man on the back end, and well covered by Nebraska, but the guy they didn't cover is the quarterback. And when a quarterback can break contain against man-to-man on the back end, all of those defenders now have their back to the quarterback, as they did with Joel Stave right there.
Injuries up front for this offensive line. They don't have Melvin Gordon in the backfield anymore. It's a much different looking offense than last season. A stretch to Deal, and he tries to get to the edge, but a good chase down on the outside for this Husker defense. And it is Webber again in that middle linebacker spot.
Now this is going to come right into your living room. You see the penetration by Malik Collins. He's a special player in there, and what he's lacked is his compadre Valentine beside him. And it's about spilling the play outside, and then the outside leverage guys making plays. That was a great example of it.
Despite the Husker injuries, very good against the outside rush. Wisconsin ran for 539 against Nebraska last year. Stave on a deep drop with pressure coming, throws to a falling down McAvoy, incomplete with Rose in coverage, and it brings up 3rd down and 10.
A 3-by-1 set, the 3 to the right, and then McAvoy was by himself to the left. And if Stave likes the matchup, it was just a simple comeback route, and it just was a little premature and a little bit off target.
Play of this Wisconsin drive. Huskers bring a twist. Stave off his back foot, throwing a comeback route, and it was nearly picked up in a very tight window by Alex Erickson. Suffered that concussion against Iowa, cleared and back this week, but Stave under pressure couldn't get a clean throw, and it's 4th down. The field goal unit will likely come out with the wind to their back.
And the pressure did force a throw on the seam before Stave would have liked to throw it. Right there, the defender is not even looking, and the pressure was by Ganguish right there. And that pressure was important because it prompted Stave to throw it before he wanted to.
Rafael Gaglianone with the wind to his back on a 43-yard try. And he hooked it left, no good. He only missed 3 times last year. That's his 5th miss in 2015. The wind will play havoc in Lincoln all day long. The wind to the Brazilian-born Gaglianone's back. Could not control it, could not get it through, and we're scoreless. Armstrong cutting the field in half, rolling the pocket and throwing wide. Incomplete, looking for DeMornay Pearson L, his 2nd game back this season from that foot injury. This is going to look like a much better division, and certainly in the early part of the season it has. Let's give you our Big Ten scoreboard. Ohio State got challenged early today, then blew away Maryland in the final game for Randy Edsall as the head coach of the Maryland Terrapins. Michigan in action. Penn State beat Indiana, so that's 2 losses in a row for the Hoosiers. 2nd down and 10. Newby. Very good patient run by Terrell Newby, and he's got the 1st down. Kept stringing it out until he found the hole he liked, and he busted open for 16 and a 1st down.
And Newby has this ability. This is just a stretch play outside. You can see the release by 35, Janovich, the fullback. When a fullback is in the game, which they're kind of a rare breed at this point in time in college football, but find the fullback and you usually find the football. And Newby did a good job. He didn't hesitate a whole lot. Patient at the beginning, stretch it, and then get downhill.
Well, you have to replace Amir Abdullah, 6,600 all-purpose yards in his career, the 2nd-round pick of the Lions. That's a big task. Slinging it on 1st down, incomplete, looking for Brandon Riley, 2nd leading receiver on this team. 2nd down and 10. Here's Newby with a lot of real estate. Looking for a seam, and he got run down by the freshman Chris Orr, making his 3rd straight start. It's a gain of 6, bringing up 3rd and 4.
Once again, the fullback Andy Janovich doing a very good job of softening to the edge, and that's where Nebraska wants to go. And obviously, Wisconsin knows that. Dave Aranda talked about they're a perimeter run team, sideline to sideline, but then they have backs that are learning how to plant a foot and get downhill, and you see Newby doing it on the last couple of plays.
Tight set to the line to the left here. Got Pearson L by himself on the right side. And Armstrong was swinging it out, looking for Divine Ozigbo, the true freshman out of Texas. And Armstrong struggling passing the football right now. He's 1 for 6.
And this ball is just thrown way too soon. You have Ozigbo right there releasing, and he's going to run a wheel route. And he's actually covered by Sitchy at that point in time, and you have to let your running back get down the field a little bit if he's running the wheel. He acted like he was throwing to the flat that time, did Armstrong.
So they've got 2 1st downs to the Huskers. This will be the 4th Sam Foltz punt already in this game, and now Alex Erickson is back to return for the 1st time. Good spiraling punt, 10th career punt return for Erickson, and he gets dragged down by Janovich. A lot of people in Lincoln have been writing that this guy should have been named a team captain. A former walk-on turned scholarship player, had a good game against Southern Miss running the ball a couple of weeks ago, and he does everything, all the little things, very well for this team.
Yeah, and that position, the fullback, the walk-on fullback in particular at Nebraska, is kind of legendary stuff, and Janovich is right in the middle of all that. He embraces that position and a lead blocker. And there we see Valentine again, and Olivia talked about that. Heavy tape on that high ankle sprain, but he needs to be productive on the inside because we know that Malik Collins can be productive as well.
Stave on 1st down, another pass off the deep drop, and a deep throw is caught. Alex Erickson out across the 40-yard line, his first big catch since coming back from that concussion. A 21-yard play, the best of the day on either side, ends what was a very defensive 1st quarter of football. Kelly, feels like old school Big Ten football right now.
We thought it would be. You're right.
Scoreless ball game. We're back after this message from your local ABC station. 344th straight sellout, an NCAA record at Memorial Stadium going back to 1962. Bob Devaney's first season as the head coach of the Cornhuskers. Feels like old school Big Ten, though. Scoreless game, Wisconsin and Nebraska. Badgers go into the wind here, and Stavi will throw into that wind. A deep out route, and it's caught by Erickson. His second big play of the day, and he's inside the Nebraska 40-yard line. Wrapped up by Kalu at the 38.
And Erickson turned Kalu around and play action pass, and then Erickson just one-on-one outside, runs a comeback and got great separation at the top of that route. There's the big plays right there, and this Wisconsin offense feeds off of big plays, and they haven't had a lot this year, but last year was all about Melvin Gordon in the big play, right?
He led the country in 50-plus, 40-plus, 30-plus, 20-plus yard runs. To give to Ingle, and he gets smothered immediately by Vincent Valentine. A loss of one on the play. Again, been nursing that ankle injury. Was on the sideline for a couple series to see how he was feeling. He's feeling all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of tape on those ankles, but those are big ankles at 6'3", 320. But if you put Valentine next to Malik Collins, you have something going inside against this power run game that Wisconsin's going to present until the last tick of the clock.
It's the reason they're so good against the outside rush. They force teams to the outside with those big inside
How many
guys.
times do we hear it's a spill defense?
That's
Spill
right.
it outside and let the outside guys clean it up.
Second down 11, deep drop for Stavi. He's got one-on-one on the outside. Good comeback route in front of Jonathan Rose, and the catch by Jordan Frederick is made close to the sticks, about 2 yards shy of the line to gain.
Good timing on the back shoulder, and the wide receiver is looking back for the football, and he sees his quarterback throw it, and the defender doesn't see it. It's very good timing between the two of them on that play.
And again, he had possession, hit the ground before it was stripped away from him. Third down for Bucky Badger. Nebraska shows pressure and brings 5. So Stavi rolling the pocket under pressure, but the catch was made out of bounds by Erickson. His left foot was already out of bounds by the time he possessed the ball. Gangwish forced Stavi into a tough throw, and it's 4th and 2 and decision time deep in Nebraska territory.
And I think that play was all about, the play call, all about going for it right here. Flushed out 95, Gangwish gets to him, throws an errant pass, and I think you go for it right here.
Again, going into the wind, making it a much more difficult kick for Gaglianone.
That's exactly the decision. I think you're right.
He already missed from 43 with the wind, so they'll skip the 46-yarder into it and go for it on 4th and 2. Just a 4-man rush. Underneath throw, and it's caught for a first down by Fumagalli. The redshirt sophomore tight end in place of Austin Traylor makes a clutch catch in front of Young for a first down.
And Young actually had pretty decent coverage from his outside linebacker position, but a nice route by Fumagalli, 6'6", 250. He basically just posts up like a man down in the paint, and the quarterback Stave puts it on it.
They've been passing a lot today. Joel Stave already 15 passes. He's connected on 8 of them for 90 yards. Another pass on first down. Looking for that corner route, and it's nearly intercepted by Kalu. Looking for Erickson, his top target, but good coverage by the sophomore out of Houston.
Erickson went to the corner that time, Adam, and very good coverage by Kalu, and kind of ran the route. And that's what you do. Get in the hip pocket, see the angle of the receiver, and then make a play on the ball. And defensive coordinator Mark Banker talked about, we haven't made many plays. That one went to the ground. That easily could have been an interception as well.
50-50 balls. That's the season of Nebraska's, or story of Nebraska's season on defense, right?
They've made 0 plays on 50-50 balls.
Stavi to his running back, Ogun Bawale, and it's incomplete. Good chase down by Marcus Newby, the redshirt sophomore outside linebacker. Closing speed for this guy to force 3rd and long.
And Newby has matched up well on tight ends, and this time a running back. Break on the ball, break up the play. 3-by-1 set, and to that side was one receiver outside, and then they were isolating Newby on a running back, and Newby won that one.
What do you want to see here? Because they might be out of field goal range right now.
Yeah, you have to throw the ball down the field once again. Stave has to be protective of the football, however.
Well protected. Stavi. Timing route. Diving catch. First down. Jazz Peavy. Just past the sticks. They needed 15 and got 16. Just the 7th career catch for Peavy. It comes at a big time.
The rhythm and timing of this play. Peavy breaks it off just as the quarterback released the football. That ball was about halfway there before Peavy ever picked it up. Low into the outside, and Rose had no shot. Maybe a slight push-off by Peavy, the receiver, but the kind of push-off you can get away with at that position.
A hamstring issue his first couple of years. He's got very soft hands. He showed it there. From the 14, here's Ingold, the true freshman out of Green Bay, trying to backpedal his way to the 10. He'll get to the 11 on a gain of about 3.
And that was a true power that time. And the difference between a power and a counter, on a power, the tight end leads, and then a lineman pulls and gets there second. On a counter, there's a counter step in the backfield that allows the lineman to get there first, and then a tight end will be the second blocker. That was a power play right there.
Stavi underneath to Peavy, and he makes his second big catch of this drive. Sets him up at the 8-yard line in front of Jones. It'll bring up 3rd down and goal here for the Badgers.
Nebraska's defense have defended things well this year, except in the pass game. Their run defense is great, but red zone defense has been really good. 38% allowing touchdowns. They need to keep Wisconsin out of the end zone right here.
25 minutes of football, 20 minutes of football without a score so far. 3rd down and goal. Wheelwright by himself at the bottom of the formation. Stavi to throw to the end zone, and it is caught. It is a touchdown for Fumagalli. His first career touchdown. The redshirt sophomore gets the Badgers on the board with his 2nd catch of the day.
Fumagalli is the inside receiver in a 3-by-1 set, and just goes up and breaks it off with that big body once again. It's the timing of the throw by Stavi. You can see him coming right at you, and the coverage was by Cockrell, and the coverage wasn't poor, but the throw was great, and the route was very good as well.
It's been a lot of passing today for Stavi, and that 13-play drive ends with a touchdown pass, the first of Fumagalli's career for a reception and a score. Austin Traylor had 3 receptions for touchdowns this year. He's out. He might be out for maybe even a month or 2. So Troy Fumagalli steps into that role as a top pass-catching target at tight end. He's got the score, and the Badgers have the lead. Badgers on the board first, 7-0 here in the 2nd quarter. A long drive commanded by Joel Stavi, a confident-looking drive with some of his great throws leading to a Fumagalli score.
He's been a confident-looking quarterback here this afternoon. We talked about at the top that that's probably the difference in this game, if that young man can play with the confidence he has thus far.
And a run-up by the former Badger, Jordan Stevenson. And he gets chopped down. Good play by this special teams unit. First down from the 39. Well protected again. Good timing route, but good coverage against Riley. It was Derek Tyndall on the coverage that time on the outside, the sophomore. Now, this crowd wanted a pass interference call, but it looked like he timed it pretty well against Riley.
It was very good coverage by Tyndall on Riley, but remember, Cockrell got called for one that I think was a little bit ticky-tack. There's a little holding coming out of the top of the route, but Tyndall did not go through the receiver to get to that football, so I agree with nothing should have been called there. Just like nothing should have been called on Cockrell, by the way, a few plays ago.
Yeah, that was a tough pass interference on that previous Wisconsin drive against Nebraska. Armstrong, whether it was a fake or a broken play, he ends up running it left and running into McAvoy and running for about 5 yards.
Yeah, that was by design, and this is the quarterback run. It's the power game. Play action or a fake in the backfield, and then it's, see those 2 guys up front?
Yeah.
You have a lineman pulling, and then you have Janovich, the fullback, also leading. That's a design power play with the quarterback.
What did Wisconsin's defensive coordinator Dave Aranda tell us? Their quarterback run game is like art. It's like a Pollock painting because of the movement and the misdirection that leads to Armstrong running for a lot of yards. 3rd down and 4. Blitz off the edge. He got rid of it before it got there, and it's Westerkamp, who's got some of the best hands you'll find on a college wide receiver. He's got it in Wisconsin territory on an 8-yard reception.
And Westerkamp is the chain mover for Nebraska's offense, and they found him a couple of times on this drive. That ball wasn't well placed because there was running room coming out the other side by Westerkamp, but the good hands, and he goes down and gets it. First play in the opponent's territory. You have to get there in order to get points, and maybe they're on to something now.
Solid drive so far. First snap from the Badger zone. To give to Ozigbo, and he tries to slip through, but TJ Edwards corrals him. Still a very good 1st down run from the true freshman from Saxe, Texas, who had a very good game last week, his first career touchdown against Illinois.
Well, Nebraska elected to not redshirt the young man, and then they were like, well, every time we give him reps in practice, he flashes more and more, but yet we haven't played it. Well, they learned something last week, and they're going to get him touches here today.
7 for 70 and a score against the Illini last week. They go back to the ground, and Ozigbo on 2nd and 10. Schobert is there on the tackle after a gain of 3. So 3rd down and 7. That penalty does negate the longest rush of the season by a Nebraska Cornhusker. Would have been a 35-yarder for Armstrong to send him up inside the 10. The penalties have been a major, major issue. The most penalized team in the country.
Nebraska doesn't like this down and distance. It was their nemesis last week. They couldn't close out that game at Illinois, but it's about Tommy Armstrong making good decisions at 3rd and 7 to continue to move the chains.
The twist against Armstrong with a long out route. It's caught for a 1st down. There's the first big play for Gamorne Pearson L. In his 2nd game back. It's 19 yards and a 1st down.
Well, that's what Pearson L, Adam, is supposed to bring to this offense. A great route run by Pearson L and a tremendous throw by Armstrong. When Armstrong sets his feet, turns his shoulder to the proper place, and steps into his throw, he has that ability. He just has some bad habits down low that lead to errant throws. That was a picture-perfect pass right there.
From the 25-yard line, here is Imani Cross. He's a very good short yardage back, but he can bust some big runs open. He'll pick up 4 yards on 1st down there, running into TJ Edwards.
We talked about Armstrong's mechanics. Watch the lower body. He sees his guy he wants to throw it to. He's fallen away a little bit, but he's getting into his throw much better than he saw on tape. There's still a little bit of stepping into the bucket right there, but he's doing a much better job with that than he did, trust me, in camp early in the fall.
Off the deep drop in play action, and it was nearly intercepted there. Looking downfield for Carter, and Tanner McAvoy, the former safety turned quarterback, turned wide receiver and safety, nearly picked it.
Yeah, and Carter had a chance, but the ball needed to come out earlier. You can see Carter right there. That's where the ball needs to be. Adam, we talk so much. He's fallen away right there. We see Armstrong. And so what happens? The result is the ball doesn't have enough smoke on it at the other end. Step into that throw a fastball in front of your tight end, and you have a huge play for your offense right there.
3rd down and 6, big play for the Husker offense. 4-man rush underneath. Pearson L with a blocker in front. And Pearson L inside the 10 will set up 1st and goal at the 9. That looked a little bit like a play called Sword that both Mike Riley and Paul Chryst developed together. Flow one way and send an underneath guy with a blocker.
You're talking about the football summit, aren't you?
That's right.
Yeah, they've come up with a lot of good things, and that was part of the screen game right there that Olivia told us that Pearson L was going to come back and they're going to get him into the offense. And right there, get your playmakers the football in space. That's what this game of football is all about.
Zone read to Cross. Armstrong keeps it, gets wrapped up by a diving Vince Spiegel after a gain of about 2 yards. It'll set up 2nd and goal. You see the Nebraska and Wisconsin numbers. Wisconsin's defense, just the 10th time they've allowed a team to get into the red zone. It's the 25th time for the Nebraska offense to get into the offensive red zone.
63% touchdowns when Nebraska gets down here, and they need to get in the end zone here and answer what Joel Stave did the last time Wisconsin had the football.
Chryst at the bottom of the formation. Armstrong looking there. Nothing there. This is where Tommy Armstrong is at his best, improvising to the pylon to score a touchdown for the Huskers.
Tommy Armstrong's greatest asset is as a freelancer. He might have gotten a hold out on the edge by Nick Gates, but if it's not called, it doesn't exist, and Armstrong pays it off. The freelancer gets into the corner of the end zone. That's called an answer in college football, Adam.
Yes, sir. Ties the game at 7 apiece. Since giving up 35 points to Alabama in their opener, Wisconsin had been so stout defensively. They had allowed just 13 points in their last 4 games. This is only the second touchdown in the last 17 quarters that the Wisconsin defense has allowed. Armstrong ties the game. Good kick by Drew Brown for a touchback. A little bit of life in Memorial Stadium again as Stavy works from the 25-yard line and rolls the pocket. Timing route with Erickson, out of bounds at the 31. After a half-dozen-yard game. Armstrong with the touchdown run a moment ago. His 10th career rushing touchdown. He's been a very good runner in his career, a good freelancer, but he did lead the Big Ten coming into today in yards passing and touchdown passes as well. We're seeing the blend, and that's when Armstrong's at his best.
And the blend is needed because you can't make Tommy into something he's not. But freelancer with progression offensive while he runs does not mix well.
Stavy, deep drop, good block from Ogunbowale. Another good pass on a timing route, looking for Wheelwright, just couldn't corral it off of his chest that time.
And Kalu was on the coverage, and what's happening in the secondary for Nebraska is there's not a lot of confidence at playing the football in the air. Kalu had no idea that that ball was coming.
Yeah.
And Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, told us our guys on the back end still panic too much. And what you have to do is realize that the ball is coming to the hands. Even if you don't see it, count to 1001 and rate the hands. Kalu needed to do it on that play.
Late blitz. Stavy gets rid of it before the pressure comes, but it's incomplete. Jonathan Rose on the coverage against George Rushing to force 4th down. That was a big play by the secondary. That's been the worst pass defense in college football this year.
Yeah, Rushing was coming on the slant, and Wheelwright kind of created some space by a release to get Rushing free a little bit. But just very good coverage. That's one of the times that good coverage beats a decent throw and a pretty good route.
Solid kick by Meyer, and Westerkamp signals a fair catch at the 38-yard line. Decent field position. Armstrong, design quarterback run. Find a seam, and he works his way for about 4 yards. True 2-minute offense with 2 timeouts here for Nebraska, Cal.
Yeah, you have to move with a sense of purpose, but you don't really have to hurry. Those 2 timeouts, the first one's probably not going to be used until under a minute.
Give to Newby. Not much there. Good play by Beagle. Coming around, one of those excellent outside linebackers. He and Joe Schobert have been great veterans on the outside linebacker spot. It's 3rd and 4.
You certainly don't want to use a timeout here because you need to convert and not give Wisconsin a lot of time on the clock if you don't.
Yeah, if they don't get the 3rd down here, they want to take some time off the clock. Armstrong, collapsing pocket, falling down. What a catch! Stanley Morgan, the true freshman, dives into Wisconsin territory after an excellent highlight reel play.
And Tommy Armstrong, the pressure and getting this ball off right at the last second. Climb in the pocket, get knocked to your chest, and still gets that ball off. Great catch by Morgan.
Armstrong, his 15th pass of the day, is a bullet down the middle. Into a tough spot underneath. Caught by Sethan Carter for 9 yards. Clock will continue to move at 50 seconds. Still both timeouts available for the Huskers. Getting into Drew Brown's field goal range. They're about 7 or 8 yards away from getting into it. Good blitz pickup. Armstrong with a lot of real estate. Firing into one-on-one coverage. A leaping catch. What a play. Touchdown. Alonzo Moore. There is a penalty marker thrown, but if it stands, an incredible Nebraska catch for a touchdown.
Pass interference. Defense number 8. The penalties decline. Result of the play is a touchdown.
An absolute jaw-dropper from Alonzo Moore. What a solid drive. Again, back-to-back solid drives engineered by Tommy Armstrong with a little help from his friends. Morgan and then Moore making highlight reel catches. And the Huskers have scored 14 points in the last 130 seconds. 14-7 Huskers.
Well, this is what extending the play looks like. Armstrong gets outside the pocket, and he has a huge arm. And it's a great throw when you realize the defender has his back to you. The route is just to go right outside. A good release. Moore does a good job of keeping the defender's hands off of him. And then he goes up and gets it right there. 6 feet tall, and he just climbs over Shelton.
And the Huskers with an offensive explosion at the end of this first half. They scored 14 points in about a 2-minute and 10-second span to go from down 7-0 to up 14-7. Let's go down to the field with Olivia Harlan.
Here. Coach, your defense didn't allow a touchdown for 17 quarters before that last one, where Nebraska got 2 in 2 different ways. What are the deficiencies on defense?
Well, they made some plays on that, and you know, we got to regroup, and we didn't think we were going to go the rest of the season for not giving up touchdowns. So just keep playing. We got a heck of a ball game, and we got to kind of regroup, clean up a couple things, and come out and play the second half.
On offense, very uncharacteristic, only 32 rushing yards. How confident are you in Stave's passing game in the second half?
Well, I think we're going to need both. If we're going to move the ball in the second half, and so we got to get the run game going, be a little bit more consistent. There's going to be a situation where Joel's got to make some plays and receivers, and we got to get better on third down.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
14-7, Nebraska on top. Wisconsin ball to start the second half. We go back to the studio after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Just the 10th meeting all time between Nebraska and Wisconsin, but they've met every year since 2011 as Big Ten foes. Usually it's been Wisconsin big-time wins, big-time rushing, but Nebraska has the halftime lead. They won in Lincoln a couple of years ago. They're leading at halftime right now as we look at our State Farm halftime double check. Those things that made Wisconsin so good in this matchup, those last few meetings, the rushing not there in this matchup.
Yeah, they haven't been able to run the ball much at all, and they were only 18 yards before that last drive where they had the rest of those 45, and Nebraska got going in the second quarter because Armstrong got going, and then the defense is getting after Stave just enough. All those things are good for Nebraska.
Back in the broadcast booth, Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan as well. Tommy Armstrong continues to impress. I mean, it was a little bit shaky for Nebraska, especially. First 4 drives, they got nothing going. They explode in a couple of minutes for some big scores to take the lead.
Yeah, and it's the impromptu stuff by Tommy Armstrong. When he gets outside the pocket, good things happen, but he has to make really good decisions as well. And remember, a lot of times Wisconsin's power run game, Adam, pays off in the second half. So Nebraska's going to have to play well defensively, particularly in that front 4.
Here we go, big man!
Badger ball to start the half, kicking with the wind. Drew Meyer will get the touchback. So Wisconsin from the 25, and we saw a lot of passing on first down from Wisconsin. Stave looking for Erickson, and it's incomplete with good coverage from Josh Kalu as we check in with Olivia Harlan.
Guys, I just talked to Coach Riley, and despite the 7-point lead, he really says they're not playing that well. He wants more consistency on offense. He wants to ramp up the run game and do better screen game. When I asked him about Tommy Armstrong beautifully engineering those 2 touchdown drives, he said that's just Tommy playing. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, when Tommy plays like that, Mike Riley is a better coach in the state of Nebraska. I know that.
It looked pretty good when your quarterback's playing as well as he did at the end of that first half.
I hear that.
Taiwan Deal questionable to return with an ankle injury, so it's been mostly Ogun Bawale and also a little bit of Alec Ingold at running back for Wisconsin. Short pickup, 3rd and long coming up as Ross DeZuris, along with Gangwish, are there on the stop. There's Taiwan Deal. You see the heavy tape job on both legs, but it was an ankle issue that was bothering him very early in this ball game. He went to the sideline, was checked out, has been hopping around, has been stretching out, trying to get back into this game. Part of the reason that this Wisconsin team hasn't been able to rush the ball very effectively.
Yeah, he's the speed cutback guy, and this offense needs that in that power run game.
Another pass play for Stalvey on 3rd down and long. To the out route with pressure coming. Greg McMullen put him on his back, and it forces an errant throw to force 4th down.
Kalu and Cockrell had the receiver over the top and underneath, and Cockrell was coming underneath. A little bit of pressure, and that helps a lot. But it was about the coverage on the back end that particular time, and kind of bracketed Erickson on the outside.
A 3rd 3 and out in their last 4 possessions, and now Drew Meyer boots it away. Jordan Westerkamp will wave it out. It's going to take an outstanding bounce. Continuing to kick into the wind, which makes it very difficult. And Meyer just could not get much behind it on what ends up being a 21-yard punt. From midfield, excellent field position for Nebraska. They've had it all day long. And here comes Terrell Newby. Solid run. Runs into Joe Schobert, but a strong 1st down run of 5. This Nebraska offense led by Danny Langsdorff in his first season, a long-time assistant under Mike Riley. And then to the right, one of the bright young defensive minds in college football, Dave Aranda, staying on with Paul Chryst staff. These two guys, with all the crossover between the staffs, believe it or not, these two guys go back almost as far as anybody. They started their careers as GAs together in 1996 at Division II Cal Lutheran. And almost 2 decades later, they coach against each other today in a conference game. Newby stretched to the right and powering through Arthur Goldberg, who finally ripped him down at the ankles.
And Adam, you had it exactly right. It is a stretch play. It's zone blocking up front, but the desire is to get out on the edge, and then Janovich, the fullback, leads around the edge. And Newby is doing a very good job of getting the stretch, being patient, pressing the line of scrimmage, and then finding the softness.
Good run to set up 3rd and 2. Cross checks in. Good short yardage back. I think a pro set here a little bit with Janovich and Cross. Janovich the lead blocker, and Cross bangs through Tanner McAvoy to the 36-yard line and a 1st down.
I think the fans love to see number 32 carrying the ball. Very good cutback, avoids the initial penetration, but at 6'1", 230, it's like a fullback. He's actually about the same size as Janovich is.
Had to replace Rex Burkhead when he was a freshman. After Burkhead got hurt, he's got a little Burkhead to him. Look at the pistol back, the eye back Newby, and he dives forward to the 32-yard line. I just had to laugh, by the way, too, because that ball got kind of kicked by Derek Tyndall. Hard for Nebraska fans not to think of the flea kicker every time a ball gets kicked into the air like that on that deep play. I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about our buddy Matt Davison, a couple of booths over in the Nebraska radio booth
right?
as well.
That was at Missouri.
That's right.
Our guy Brent Musburger was calling that. I can still picture the call in my mind.
2nd down and 6 here for Armstrong and the Huskers. Newby tried to cut away from Joe Schobert, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week's been a little bit quiet so far, but man, he had one heck of a game against Iowa. He's the country's leader in sacks and TFLs. Gets a TFL there.
And that is typically what he does right there, Adam. It's quick recognition resulting in quick penetration, and he blows up the play right here. Coming off the edge, he has good balance after contact. He gets hit around a little bit by the tackle, but he ends up getting to the tackle that particular time. We need to hear from that guy here in the 2nd half if Wisconsin is going to get back in this thing.
3rd down and 9. Huskers are 6 of 10 on 3rd down. Usually they've been about 3rd and medium. This is 3rd and long. Four-man rush. Here comes Schobert, pressuring Armstrong into a very difficult throw. Back-to-back big plays by the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, the senior out of Waukesha.
The strength of Wisconsin is their outside linebacker position, and Schobert is just going to come off the edge right here. And this is what they do, is they design things. He's the second guy out, actually. I had one guy too far inside, but the outside linebackers are the strength of Wisconsin's defense, and they're getting Schobert loose right here.
Schobert and Beagle, both outside backers, were coming in. So a 52-yard try coming here for Drew Brown. This would be a career-long make. Kicking with the wind, trying to curve it in, and it is no good, wide to the right. The wind continues to be a factor, just could not hook that in, working off the right upright. A 52-yard try, an extended drive for the Huskers. No points. Still a 7-point Nebraska lead. Another deep drop. Deep routes downfield. Stabby whips one down the middle of the field, and it's incomplete. Two receivers both in the area in Fumagalli and Erickson, kind of converging in on it.
I don't believe there's a pass concept where you have two receivers standing essentially on top of one another. Fumagalli, the tight end, arrives down the field to the post at the same time 86 Alex Erickson does, and that was not designed very well.
Wisconsin, 5 of their last 7 possessions have been a 3-and-out. They continue to struggle going against the wind. Stabby throwing in this direction is 2 for his last 11. Four-man rush. This time a good line drive throw for a first down to Fumagalli. His 4th catch to tie his season total today. He's got a dozen and a first down.
Adam, you mentioned earlier that tight end Austin Traylor is out, and he's typically a really good receiving tight end. Fumagalli is more the blocker at 250, but he's having himself a great day today. Only 4 catches coming into this one.
And this is a Wisconsin team that likes to throw to tight ends. Sam Arneson had 4 touchdowns last year. Traylor had 3 in the early going this season before the injury. First down and 10 off the fake. Stabby. He's got it in his fullback's hands. That's Eric Steffes, who's also moonlighting as the backup tight end. He takes it inside the 30-yard line. Well-designed play, and he picks up 15.
It was zone stretch to the left, and really good ball handling by Sabe that time. Watch it right here. Where's the football on that zone? He comes back, makes a nice throw, keeps it on the body of the big tight end slash fullback, and off a run game that really has not been that productive as of yet, but it was good play action off of it.
Just 56 rushing yards today for Wisconsin. Back to the ground, Ogunbowale with a Fumagalli block and a spin and a 2-yard gain. Hit by Weber out of the middle linebacker spot. Last year, Nebraska gave up 539 rush yards, but Mark Banker, the first-year defensive coordinator, knows Paul Chryst offense very well. More of that crossover between all the coaches. When Banker was at Oregon State in 2012 and Wisconsin went to Corvallis, his defense held Brett Bielema's offense to 35 rushing yards on 23 carries. Second down 8. Underneath, looking for Fumagalli, incomplete. Third down coming up, down to Olivia.
Guys, you see freshman running back Alec Ingold getting significant snaps. He was a high school quarterback out of Green Bay, was a linebacker at fall camp. 3 weeks ago, became an emergency running back. And guys, it's an emergency. Taiwan Deal still not on the field. He's walking up and down, favoring that ankle. Doesn't look to be going in anytime soon.
Yeah, you saw him hopping around a little bit, Olivia, and it doesn't look like he's going to get back into this game. So the converted linebacker and former high school quarterback, part of this lacking rushing attack right now. 3rd and 8, passing situation. 4-man rush. Stabby climbing in the pocket, throwing incomplete. Nearly picked off by Marcus Newby on Fumagalli, and Newby continues to be one of the best pass coverage guys on this Nebraska defense today.
Very impressive by Newby on coverage, but we'll see the coverage first right here on the tight end, and a little bit of a hole out of the break, but you typically get a long way with it. But how about Valentine right here? How would you like to be on the other end of that, 320 pounds? Valentine has played well here in the second half.
45 yards into the wind for Rafael Gaglianone. The short run up, trying to keep it straight and power it through, and he's got it. Missed from 43, but this time from 45 yards, he's able to bang it through to get Wisconsin points for the first time in the second half.
Gaglianone drove this thing. I mean, this was good for another 10 yards or so. He caught that flush and drove it right through the middle.
Brazilian-born Gaglianone went to high school in Tennessee. Minute to play, third quarter. Endicott. Sidewinding kick towards the sideline, and good field position coming up here.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team.
89,886 announced attendance today at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. Husker ball. Terrell Newby's got it, and a short run for about a half-yard running into T.J. Watt. The Watt name lives on here at Wisconsin.
T.J. Watt was pursuing from the outside that time, and they're going to have to keep those outside linebackers honest. A little kind of play-action boot, get Armstrong outside the pocket once again.
T.J. Watt and Derek Watt, both younger brothers of J.J., the outstanding defensive players in the NFL from the Wisconsin Badger. Armstrong designed it. This is a run for him. Fakes the run and runs it to the 41-yard line. 5 yards there, third down and 4. They don't have to run another play, but we'll see what they do at the end of this third quarter. So in the fourth quarter, Nebraska will go into the wind. Now, the wind has died down a little bit, and we've talked about how big of an effect that has played today. But Nebraska for the fourth will go into the wind. Wisconsin will go with the wind. And it looks like the Huskers are in no rush with a 4-point lead. Speaking of rush, Wisconsin, 58 yards on the ground. That's it against this Nebraska defense today after 5:39 a season ago. Second year they're meeting for the Freedom Trophy, 10th meeting all time. There have been some blowouts in this series. This is a close one. Football continues after this word from our ABC stations. Crucial game in the suddenly very competitive looking Big Ten West. Wisconsin and Nebraska both coming off losses in their Big Ten openers. A 14-10 lead for Nebraska as we start the fourth. Third down for Tommy Armstrong. Off his back foot into double coverage, and it was nearly picked and probably should have been by Darius Hillary. Armstrong on the ground again with pressure coming this time from Wisconsin, 4th and 4.
Exactly why this ball should have been sailed over the Wisconsin bench. This is dead from the beginning. T.J. Watt gets after the quarterback. That ball just simply cannot be thrown into harm's way. This is a bad decision. On this play, the mechanics really don't matter. It's all about the mechanics between your ears, and that was not a good decision by number 4 right there.
So Fultz, a punt into the wind with Erickson back to return. Good booming kick towards the sideline. It forces another punt inside the 20-yard line to the 16. A good 43-yard kick. 24 wins in Joel Stave's career, 4th most among active quarterbacks. Goes to work at his own 16-yard line with the Badgers down 4. And Olivia talked about Alec Ingold, the former high school quarterback turned linebacker, turned running back in emergency situations. That's been part of the Wisconsin team too. They've had to switch around some guys from offense to defense and vice versa. And Ingold, with the Taiwan Deal ankle injury, has been the number 2 back behind Ogunbowale today.
And Ingold is 237 pounds, so he's more of a fullback type guy. You have to prevent him from going downhill. Spill it to the edges if you're Nebraska.
That run was for 6 after they ran for 2 total in the third quarter. Here is Wheelwright, good blocking along the perimeter, and he's got the first down. Erickson trying to seal the edge for him, and he gets ripped down across the 30 at the 32 by Cockrell and Young. Stave, 3rd all-time in Wisconsin history in yards and touchdowns. Only one time has Joel Stave ever thrown for 300 yards in a game. That was against Penn State a couple of years back. He's thrown for 200 on the nose today. Off play action, looking downfield. into Nebraska territory. The catch by Alex Erickson. Another big play to their top receiver. Down to the 44-yard line.
Off the play action pass, and Erickson runs what they call a deep over route, and then Stavi does a nice job of driving the throw in there.
24 yards on that play. Half the targets have been caught. 77 on the day for Alex Erickson. 1st and 10 in Husker territory. First down from the 30. The fake to Ingold. And underneath, setting it up for Fumagalli. A little bit off target on the throw with pressure coming on Joel Stavi. 2nd down. So over 40 passes today for Joel Stavi. And this is not an offense the last couple of years that has rested on Stavi's arm. He's been asked to do enough because you had some big-time backs. And don't forget, Corey Clement is still injured. He was the guy to replace Melvin Gordon. He was running very well, but he's out right now with that sports hernia surgery. Stavi being asked to do much more today. Now again to Ogunbowale, and a big hole opens up for Dare as he takes it to the 15-yard line. One of his best runs of the day, the redshirt junior, for a 1st down.
This is the wrap play. Number 62, Walker Williams, is going to wrap around right there and lead the running back up inside. And that was one of the better run plays we've seen in a long while.
The best of the day. 15 yards for Wisconsin today. 1st down and 10. The penalty keeping this drive alive. And Ogunbowale with a shift to the outside and shakes past the defender and takes it inside the 10. Gifford, the substitution for Newby, there on the stop at around the 7-yard line.
And Ogunbowale is doing a very nice job right now, is just kind of going out of the design of the play a little bit. There's a little extension of the play. He's the one that has a tendency to go off grid, if you will, and that power is meant to go up inside, and that time he bounced it, and probably rightfully so.
Back to Ogunbowale, and he's ripped down by Malik Collins. The penetration they've been looking for, and a big play on 2nd and short to force 3rd down.
Collins is the penetration guy, and this is exactly how you have to blow up the run game. Quick penetration right at the epicenter of the play, and if you want that, Collins is your guy.
Third down and 5. Four-man rush. Stavi to the sideline. Peavy can get a 1st down. He's got that. And he's down inside the 1-yard line. Another 3rd down conversion, and Jazz Peavy has been a big factor today. It'll be 1st and goal with a chance to take the lead.
And number 14, Jonathan Rose, you can see him coming in late to the picture, makes a poor attempt at a tackle, but he's way too soft to begin with that deep in the red zone. Peavy had too much room to operate.
And now Alec Ingold is the deep back in the jumbo package without a touchdown in his young career. Here comes the freshman from Green Bay with his 1st career touchdown. And the 1st lead of the 2nd half belongs to the Badgers here. The Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Wisconsin, shifting positions a bunch. Former linebacker at Wisconsin this year, earlier in camp, sliding over to running back with some of the injuries, including Clement. And now Taiwan Deal today as well. Scores the touchdown to give Wisconsin the lead for the 1st time in half number 2. Gaglianone adds the extra point, and it's 10 unanswered for the Badgers since halftime.
Put 2 fullbacks in there and then have a 240-pound Ingold take it up in the end zone. You can't get heavier than that, Adam.
For the first time in the second half, Wisconsin has taken the lead with 10 unanswered points. A 17-14 Badger advantage. Both teams 0-1 in Big Ten play, trying to avoid the 0-2 start. First career rushing touchdown for Alec Ingold, the true freshman out of Green Bay. Endicott kicking with the wind. And 5 yards deep. Touchback taken by the former Wisconsin Badger commit, never a student, Jordan Stevenson. Take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. It was a 14-7 Nebraska lead at the halftime. They scored 2 touchdowns in a very short spurt at the end of the second quarter to take the lead into the half. Stavi's thrown 41 times. Armstrong in this game has thrown 24 times. Erickson, who was questionable most of the week, 6 catches today, the top target for the Badgers.
And Adam, Nebraska's going into the wind, and Armstrong has not been good throwing into the wind. 1 of 7 today, and was horrendous last week at Illinois into the wind as well.
Yeah, bad conditions, the wind in Illinois, and now the wind this week that Armstrong is used to, but he's going into it. Jet sweep, Alonzo Moore, and a big play that knocked the ball loose. Tanner McAvoy diving at the ankles, but will Moore be ruled down?
Ruling on the field was the runner was down before the ball came out. Second down.
Janovich, short run, and it'll be 3rd down and long coming up here. Wisconsin's defense starting to stiffen.
Yeah, the offensive line didn't get much of a push those last couple of plays, and Tommy Armstrong has to come up with a play right here. This is where he has to be at his best, and we'll most likely see Armstrong get outside the pocket right here.
See if he cuts the field in half. He's got 2 receivers to the wide side, bottom of the formation. Going to stay in the pocket and rip one, and it's broken up by Darius Hillary. Fans wanted a flag as it was intended for Western Camp, but Hillary with the break on the ball and the pass breakup to set up 4th down.
Yeah, apparently this must have been a perfect break by Hillary, because this ball was on time and on target, and Western Camp just went down in 1st down depth, sit down, show your number 1 to the quarterback, and Hillary, it seemed like to me, arrived just a little bit too early, especially with that left arm.
That arm around the shoulder pad.
Yep.
It looked like a Westerkamp. That could have been called a pass interference. So now Foltz into the wind. Gets very high, and that's not where you want to put it. It's going to be very good field position as Erickson stumbles out at the 35-yard line. Badger ball, 8:43 to go. Big Ten West game here. 1st down and 10 for the Badgers, trying to burn some clock, going to Ogunbowale, who's got a big hole, and there goes Dari Ogunbowale. Ripped down inside the 35-yard line at the 32. Deep in Nebraska territory, it's a 32-yard run for Ogunbowale.
Derek Watt, the fullback, kicks out, and then the big center, Volts, also gets around there as well. That's all about power football right there. We talked about Wisconsin's run game paying off in the 4th quarter late with that power football.
Back to Ogunbowale, and finally brought down after maybe a yard or so. Vincent Valentine is there on the stop. So they just lost Jack Gangwish, but the Nebraska defense did just get Marcus Newby back into the game. So 2nd down and 9 coming up here. Halfway through the 4th. Ogunbowale with a kick-out block from the center, Dan Voltz. And Ogunbowale running it to the 26-yard line. More on Newby with Olivia Harlan.
Yeah, Adam, he was slow to get up on Nebraska's last defensive drive. When he came to the sideline, trainers laid him out and massaged his right calf and gave him a lot of water. He quickly took a seat and continued massaging his right calf. So he is back in, but we'll keep an eye on him if he favors that left leg.
Yeah, unseasonably warm today here in Lincoln for October. And there's Gangwish back on the field as well. Big 3rd down and 4 for the Nebraska defense. Ogunbowale wrapped up by Chris Webber. Finished off by Gary, but the middle linebacker, the walk-on right there, making the stop. And now it's 4th down. Wisconsin a 3-point lead inside the 25, going with the wind.
And I think they're going to go for the field goal right here. I agree with the decision because Nebraska hasn't exactly executed well going into the wind here this afternoon.
Gaglianone missed from 43 in this direction with the wind back in the first half. He's been good against the wind from 45. This one a 41-yard try. Keeping it a little bit lower this time, and he's able to cut through with the field goal to make it a 6-point lead. Nebraska gets the ball down 6:17 left. This month, Michigan State coming up. Stevenson has not been able to do much for the Huskers today, the true freshman out of Dallas. Looking for Newby again out of the backfield. Incomplete, 2nd down and 5. Again, Armstrong hasn't been the sharpest in terms of his completion percentage. Just 10 of 25 on the day, and as we said, going in this direction against the wind, just 1 of 8. And this is just a half comparison, 1st and 2nd.
And that first half was mostly in the 2nd quarter where he got really hot and played extremely well. Good decisions, good ball placement. We haven't seen a lot of that since.
Alonzo Moore, the big 41-yard touchdown reception at the end of the first half. 2nd down 5. A pump, a setup of that screen, and it's incomplete. Trying to set it up for Demorne Pearsonell. We haven't heard much from him since early in this game. Coming off that foot injury, trying to be more explosive this week.
And that's even on a screen. It's a short pass, and you have Schobert getting in your face, but you have to set your feet and throw an accurate ball. Screens are all about yards after catch. And watch how Armstrong falls away right there. No thought of setting his feet. And I think you had an opportunity to set your feet and throw a strike out to the receiver.
We've seen that be kind of unsharp today from Armstrong, throwing off the back foot. 4-man rush. Good block by Newby, and now it's up to Armstrong to cover a lot of ground. Tommy Armstrong to the sticks and a 1st down. Right at the 35-yard line. They needed all of Armstrong's improvisational skills there, and he keeps this drive alive.
His greatest asset, as we've talked about, and the coaches told us yesterday, is this right here. A great freelancer. Let the coverage get deep and then go find the sticks and move the chains. That's an athlete making something happen.
A Badger defense, which has been very stout in the 2nd half, giving up 16 yards there. Newby in the flats. Trying to hustle to the sideline, and Beagle gets him at the ankles and forces him out after about a 5-yard pickup.
And certainly time is not the issue currently. It's about executing quality offensive plays to go down and get this ball in the end zone. 4:50 left, 3 timeouts. That's an eternity, but it has to be efficiently done, led by Tommy Armstrong.
That's why we said that 3rd down conversion was so big, because if they've got to punt it away from deep in their own territory, now the clock is certainly against them.
They may not get it back with Wisconsin's desire to run the football.
Absolutely. 2nd down 5. Shuffling that time from Newby, and there's Tanner McAvoy with the stop. 4-yard gain. It's going to be about a long 1, short 2 on 3rd down coming up here. And this legitimately could be the final offensive possession, barring a takeaway that Nebraska gets today. They need to convert 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah, this is certainly a 2-play drive right here. They have to convert either on this one or the next one, because you're right, with Wisconsin running the football as they have, they may not possess the ball again.
Janovich lines up as a fullback. Short yardage back, crosses it. They give it to Janovich, and he powers for a 1st down and more. There goes Andrew Janovich. His 1st career touchdown will tie the game. In his 43rd career game, Andy Janovich with the biggest touch of his life. Brown adds the extra point, and Nebraska has come back to take the lead.
If you're at Nebraska, don't forget about the fullback, especially if he's a former walk-on. That guy came up with a huge play.
344th straight sellout in Lincoln, and the Cornhuskers have a 21-20 lead on the Wisconsin Badgers. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan. Nebraska scored 2 late touchdowns in the first half to take a 14-7 lead. 13 unanswered by Wisconsin until a moment ago. A Nebraska touchdown from Andy Janovich, his first career touchdown to give the Huskers a 1-point lead. Kickoff into the wind is going to be grabbed by one of the up men for Wisconsin. And not much room, and it'll be a long field in front of the Badgers. Joel Stavy, the veteran quarterback for Wisconsin, trailing by 1, starts this drive at the 9. Off play action, Stavy firing deep down the middle, and it's incomplete, looking for Fumagalli. Byerson Cockrell in coverage against the Wisconsin tight end, 2nd down and 10.
Fumagalli seems to be the favorite target of Stavy today, but this was great coverage by the safety Cockrell. The tight end running down the seam, and then Cockrell does a nice job of sinking underneath the route right at the very end and getting his head around.
Crucial game in the suddenly very competitive-looking Big Ten West. Wisconsin and Nebraska both coming off losses in their Big Ten openers under new head coaches Mike Riley for Nebraska, Paul Chryst for Wisconsin. 19 of 42 is Stavy today. He's got to pass the ball on this drive some more. 4-man Nebraska rush. Stavy pumps and throws for Erickson, and he's got it out across the 40-yard line. Was he in bounds? He was. 31-yard pass play to Alex Erickson, a clutch catch and a first down for Wisconsin.
Completed pass at the sideline. First down, Wisconsin.
Erickson, the inside-out fade route. He's in a slot position. He goes up and gets the football, and Kalu simply doesn't. And that's what Mark Banker talked about. His defensive backs haven't learned how to find the football, and that's a good example of it. Go up and make a play at the high point.
Got the right foot down. First down from the 40. And Dare Ogunbowale trying to cut it back. Is able to shake through one tackle and pick up 5 yards running into Kalu. Cornhuskers.
I had a Nebraska fan stop me on the way down for coffee this morning, Adam, and he said, you know what, we'd be 5-0 if we could have done away with the last 30 seconds of all 3 of those losses. They're hoping they're not reliving it right here.
A BYU Hail Mary in the opener. Overtime loss to Miami. Heartbreak against Illinois last week. Nebraska trying to stand. Wisconsin looking for the lead. Stavy, timing route, wheel right the catch, and he's tackled at the 40-yard line by Nate Gary. Timing routes have been very good for Stavy and his receivers. 16 yards there.
Stavy and his receivers have great timing, and the corners in particular for Nebraska just simply don't break on the football. They allow the receiver to have too much separation. That time it was Jonathan Rose on coverage.
2.5 to play, still all 3 timeouts on both sides. Blitz coming. Picked up. Stavy for Erickson, and it's broken up at the last moment by Kalu. 2nd down. This has been one of the leakiest secondaries in the country, but some big plays at crucial moments for the Husker backside.
Yeah, Kalu made a great play. He was initially looking at the route in the flat, and watch him sink right there. Once he sees the throw, and Mark Banker talked about that after your initial read, let the quarterback throw you to your next assignment. That's a perfect example of it.
And there is Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, a longtime Mike Riley assistant, hoping that his defense can make a stand. Wisconsin on 2nd and 10 from the 39. This time again to Ogunbowale. And he breaks a tackle and runs out of bounds, putting his shoulder into Jonathan Rose for a first down at the 27.
Now we're entering the true 2-minute situation, and Wisconsin has all 3 timeouts left. They would like to use almost all of this clock at this point in time, and that time you saw the power run to the left once again, very productive.
How will Paul Chryst manage it? How will Mike Riley manage it as well? Gaglianone, a field goal kicker, is 2 for 3 today. He's got a chance to potentially give him the lead. Ogunbowale looking for a hole, and he got tripped up in the backfield. Dedrick Young was in the backfield, the true freshman linebacker. And now here's some of the clock management as Ogunbowale favors that right arm.
Yeah, good use of the timeout. And remember that there's a pretty stiff breeze at the back of Wisconsin currently. So they're well within field goal range probably right now with that wind blowing.
Second down, 9, a minute 48 to go. Ogunbowale seeking space. And he works to about the 24. Dedrick Young on the stop, and another timeout used by Nebraska, their second. They're going to give to Ogunbowale, who's got a seal along the edge, and Cockrell was the first man to hit him. Weber finished him off, shy of the line to gain. A minute 32 to play, fourth down coming up. He got to about the 21-yard line. They're well within field goal range here. And Nebraska will use its final timeout as he was tackled inbounds. Last timeout for the Huskers. Wisconsin with a chance to take the lead. Nebraska with a chance to potentially get the ball back. But Gaglianone with a huge kick coming up if indeed they go for the field goal. For the lead, Gaglianone, the Brazilian-born and bred kicker. Trying to hook it back in, and it's no good! No good off the uprights! A heart-wrenching miss for Rafael Gaglianone. And now with Wisconsin trailing by 1 with all 3 timeouts remaining, their defense needs to stiffen, but this was the miss.
Yeah, Mike Riley, as we've said, his team needs something. They need concrete evidence that what we're doing works. Well, I don't know if the goalposts are made of concrete, but that might be it right there for them. But Armstrong needs to make something happen. This one's not done yet.
Minute 26 left. Wisconsin needs stops. They give it to Cross. There's a stop right there by Vince Beagle, and quickly a timeout from Paul Chryst with 1:21 left.
And you're not going to run much of the clock because Wisconsin has 2 more timeouts left. And so eventually, if you don't make something happen with your execution on plays, you're going to have to punt into a pretty stiff breeze.
And Wisconsin just getting its 11th defender back on the field. And that was the 11th defender. A stop by Dakota Dixon, who just raced onto the field as the 11th man, ends up with a tackle there. And there's the second timeout with a minute 17 to play. Janovich, who scored that go-ahead touchdown, gets stopped. And Wisconsin will get the ball back with some time on the clock as Paul Chryst uses his final timeout. Again, going into the wind, stiff wind. Erickson back to return, and Sam Foltz, who was the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week last week, trying to avoid that breeze. Wisconsin setting up for a return. Foltz keeping it low. A very good kick to the sideline. Grabbed at the 28 by Erickson. And he is stopped after a very short return to forward progress to the 32-yard line. 1:03 to play. No timeouts on either side. Wisconsin now in the hands of Joel Stabby, the 4th winningest active quarterback in college football, with a chance to get Wisconsin the lead. Whether they get him a touchdown or into field goal range, it's up to Stabby now. 63 seconds left. Stabby from the 30-yard line. 4-man rush. Out route and a good hands catch lunging forward, but the clock continues to move as Troy Fumagalli makes the grab.
Tremendous throw and catch to the sideline, but it was a good tackle to keep Fumagalli inbounds.
45 seconds left. Another 4-man rush. Inside, it's a first down. Catch made by Jazz Peavy out near midfield. Clock will stop to reset the chains at 38 seconds to play.
Erickson right here.
The top receiver in the pattern. Four-man rush again. Stavi over the middle. It's caught by Fumagalli inside the 30-yard line. Down to the 28. 25 seconds to play. Fumagalli with one of the best days of his career takes him into field goal range for Gaglianone. Now you have to manage the clock as well. 20 seconds left. Stavi over the middle again, and it's broken up incomplete. Looking for Wheelwright. Nate Gary in on the coverage. It stops at 15 seconds. Second down and 10. Maybe only one more play, two more plays quickly before you have to set up a field goal, and you have to make sure the clock is stopped.
Exactly. That's what you have to set up for. I think a play over the middle is incredibly dangerous. Outside if you can get it, but Gaglianone may have to kick it from right here.
Stavi rolling. Throwing towards the sideline, incomplete. 9 seconds left. You have time for one more. You got to go for the field goal now.
You have time for one more to the sideline. Just like that, you may just flip the formation and run the same thing.
Wisconsin with a chance to win it on a 46-yard go-ahead field goal try by Nebraska from Rafael Gaglianone. He just missed a moment ago. 46-yarder into the wind, and he got it through the uprights. Rafael Gaglianone puts Wisconsin in front with 4 seconds to go. Heartbreak again for the Huskers. And an incredible drive by Joel Stavi and the Badgers to take the lead in the final moments.
Gaglianone just drives this one through, just sneaks in the right upright. Remember, it was the right hash that he missed the time before, and it was on the right hash once again. I don't know how many times your heart can be broken, but Nebraska's experiencing it again, and it's the opposite on the Wisconsin sideline.
What a moment for Gaglianone, and how many times have Husker fans seen this?
That relief we talked about, Adam,
A moment ago,
that's agony right there.
Yep. Jordan Stevenson, the former Badger signee who never enrolled at Wisconsin, is back. They're going to go with the squib kick here. And it's on the ground, and the time may run out. It's kicked back behind the 30, and the clock is going to run out in this game. And the Badgers with an incredible come-from-behind victory. A much-needed Big Ten win, and it's heartbreak for the Huskers here in Lincoln again.